Welcome to WorldBox. Today, a nice family decided to take a trip to the zoo. Timmy had been begging his parents all week just to see a crocodile. Just one crocodile. Crocodiles are his favorite animals, and today, he's really hoping to see a crocodile. It was discount day at the Cincinnati Zoo. The zoo opened at 10 a.m., and as usual, Timmy's father, Steve, left his wallet in the car and had to go back and grab it. Silly. It took Steve so long to go back and get his wallet that while he was gone, Timmy grew 1.5 feet, despite still being 10 years old. But no matter. Timmy was ready to see the crocodile he had been dreaming of since he was a kid, which was earlier today. Unfortunately, Timmy is an idiot and spent most of the day staring at the piranhas, not realizing the crocodiles were right behind him. Timmy's mom, Cheryl, got to take a good look around the park. The staff was friendly and chopping down trees without really giving anyone any warning, which was a little bit of a safety hazard. Timmy and his dad had a great time once they finally found the crocodiles. Although foolishly, Steve forgot the zoo map in the car, so I had to go back. Timmy didn't care though. He was with his real family, the crocodiles. The zoo was a hustling, bustling place full of all the animals you could ever want to see. Wolves, foxes, turtles, piranhas, frogs, penguins. Okay, no. You may be wondering, what's the special occasion? Why did they get to go to the zoo on just a random Tuesday? Well, today was the day. Cheryl and Steve, stop running away. Goodness gracious, holy smokes, people. Today was the day Steve and Cheryl decided to break the news to Timmy that he was in fact adopted. Don't ask me how he didn't figure it out himself. Like I said earlier, Timmy's kind of an idiot. Heartbroken, Timmy tried to leave the park and said, "Not even the crocodiles can cheer me up. I'm going home." So he ran into the parking lot, being chased by his father. I don't know what his long-term plan was, because he's 11 years old and cannot drive. But sometimes when you're upset, you do things that don't really make sense. Timmy ran and ran across the whole parking lot. As for what Cheryl's doing during all this, I don't know what to tell you. She went up to the top of the park and lit a fire. So she's having her own moment, I guess, too. Eventually, Timmy's dad caught up with him and explained that he still loves him, and he's still just as much his son as if he wasn't adopted, and Timmy cried and then told his father he loves him. While that tender moment was going on, something happened. Something no one really expected. The food court food had been a little undercooked, and because of that, a lot of people were feeling rather sick. And not just your average everyday sick, they were turning green. Literally green. "Hey, you look kinda like a zombie," joked one of the other zoo goers. "Rawr," said the zombie in return. Only he wasn't pretending to be a zombie. He really was a zombie. Unfortunately, Timmy's mom had taken a little snack and ate some of that green stuff. Not only was the snack bar expensive, but it turned you into a zombie. We've all seen movies before. We know what happens when people get infected with this zombie disease. It tends to spread. Things were not looking good. That's all I'm gonna say. Some zombie people broke the fence to the Savannah exhibit, and all the rhinoceroses started marching into the snack bar. Unfortunately, they weren't looking for a snack, they were looking for a treat. And the people, my gosh, did they look delicious. After the rhinos gobbled up the people, they themselves started feeling not so well. Feeling a little green, you might say. The buffalo said, "Hey man, you ain't looking that good." To which the rhinoceros said, "Rawr." The penguins got out of their cages. The snakes had escaped their exhibit. In a bad mix of fate, it was around this time that Timmy and his father decided to head back into the park. I said they're heading back into the park. Timmy wanted to get another look at the animals, and he's about to get a very close look at the animals. Timmy actually got killed by a rhinoceros, and his father was killed by a crocodile. I know what you're thinking. Surely there can't be a happy ending to the story, and you're probably gonna be right about that. The animals continued to break free from their cages, more and more turning green with the infection of the cafeteria. The other zoo goers were getting eaten alive by wolves in the middle of the park. That was their first time using their season pass, and they did not get their money's worth. Another zoo goer had spent this entire day in the bathroom up until now, and he came out to a very different park than he had entered. He thought it was some sort of new exhibit, putting the rhinos out front, and maybe they were friendly. He was immediately killed by the rhinos. immediately killed. Like, he didn't even stand a chance. Like, they just completely destroyed him. The penguins were fighting. Zombie penguins versus regular penguins. The cafeteria was completely overrun by zombie buffaloes and zombie rhinos and one monkey flinging his poo, because he likes to be involved. A bunch of the staff tried making a run for the exit, but the exit was being guarded by a bunch of bears, and as you can expect, they all died. The frogs, even though their fence was broken, they didn't care. They just liked chilling in the water. They were pretty content. Honestly, people could learn a lesson from them. Just because you can, doesn't mean you should. A stupid crocodile had to fall into the exhibit and infect all the frogs, even though they deliberately asked him to not do that. One positive thing is that it wasn't a very busy day at the zoo, so not that many people were hurt. Rest in peace to the animals, but they're not paying customers, and they can't sue. At least all the zombie animals were contained within the park, and could probably be dealt with simply, without anyone else needing to get hurt. Psych! A school bus of kids just arrived, and they're getting attacked by a zombie bear and a zombie crocodile. I know what you're thinking. After that, they should probably get in the bus and just go home, but they didn't. The kids really wanted to see the crocodiles, and by golly, they weren't leaving until they got a really good look at the crocodiles. And I mean a really good look at the crocodiles. The teachers realized maybe a little bit too late that, hey, there's something bad going on here, so they decided to just leave the park and leave the kids in there. Boy, I hope those kids can outrun the zombie crocodiles while running at 1.5 miles per hour. Unfortunately, no. That's not what happened. The crocodiles know a nice meal when they see one, and they've been eating crocodile food for so long, or what the humans think they like to eat, but they never feed them exactly what they want, and that is small kids. For some of these kids, adrenaline kicked in, and they decided to grow another 1.5 feet and become jacked to fight the zombie crocodiles. Unfortunately, fighting anything infected with zombie virus means you're probably gonna also get infected. So classmates turned against classmates, while all the adults decided to start building cottages in the woods because they've seen so many zombie movies and they wanted to get started early. At first they thought maybe they could go back to the bus, but unfortunately it exploded and actually blew up the entire parking lot with it, because all of the cars in the parking lot were oddly enough made of TNT. Things were not looking good. Not looking good for anyone. Fires began to spread from the explosion. Unfortunately, the zoo had cut some corners on fire safety, and the entire park was made out of flammable material. The zoo began to burst into flame. Somehow, the fire spread at alarming rates, almost as if the fire was falling from the sky itself. Even the turtles caught on fire, and unfortunately they are way too slow to actually get in the water before burning to death. It's really sad to watch, and I watched the whole process, having fire fall from the sky, bursting into flame, slowly walking across the sand, slowly burning alive, and then the inevitable sad death of those 2 turtles. On the flip side though, they were zombies, so maybe it's not that sad. All the administrative buildings burned to a crisp. Luckily there was no one inside, because all those people had already died. Count your blessings, On the outside of the park, all of the people set up their villages, preparing for the coming apocalypse that they felt was inevitable. But then something happened. They decided, hey, we can actually prevent the apocalypse altogether. So that's what they did. They gathered together. The leader gave a speech about how this is the day they fight, not the day they hide and cower. It was a beautiful speech. Everyone cried, including me. It was a little bit of a questionable decision to bring the kids along for this, but bless their hearts. They marched inside with such bravery and began to fight back against the zombie rhinos, the zombie crocodiles, and the zombie frogs. They fought, and things were actually looking pretty good. They were actually killing them off. Unfortunately, by this point, the US government had gotten wind of what was happening at the zoo and decided to just nuke the whole place. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. Mostly because no one actually knew who they were, so you can't be forgotten if no one knows who you were. Am I right?